backing go? Yeah. Just lost one of them. Backings for the dang pen. Where'd that? All right. It's okay. I have more. There we go. There we are. Hey, everybody. Got that nonsense sorted. Hope everyone's doing well. Ooh, that's hot. Yep, that's very hot. Ooh, there we are. Hey, everybody. Hope you had a good Halloween if you chose to do anything on it. And if you didn't, then I hope you had a relaxed one. Have I watched Heartstopper? What are my thoughts on one of the main actors being forced to come out as bi? I have not watched it, and I'm not familiar with that situation. Huh. I would need details. I'm assuming that it's a matter of they wanted to cast accurate to the sexuality, so someone who was closeted had to come out in order to get the part. If it's not that, or if it's something else, I should check into that, because that's unsettling. Anyways, hey everybody. So if you are new here, because we have picked up more than a few subscribers in the last couple weeks, I will be keeping an eye on the chat as best as I can. The only thing that guarantees that I will see your comment, assuming you are not also a Patreon supporter, in which case you would have had the Discord prior to the start of the stream. But the only thing that guarantees I'm going to see or reply to your comment is doing it as a super chat, which will also get you a heart from me in appreciation. So with that in mind, John Vinyls, right off the bat, thank you so much. So if there was to be any Gargoyles, the Owl House, Ghost of the Molly McGee, Amphibia, and or Gravity Falls attractions at the Disney parks, what do you think they should be? I would say Gravity Falls lends itself very easily. You could build an attraction just around the town, whether it be an attraction that you walk through, or you could set it up like it's a very rickety roller coaster, like something Stan himself built. And sort of part of the appeal is like it shakes and judders about because it makes you think like, oh, it's about to fall apart at any moment. You could build that into it. That's the one that immediately leaps to mind. Gargoyles would probably be the most difficult, especially because at this point, that is a pretty niche and increasingly obscure property until they do something else with it. I wouldn't be surprised if like they did like something minor for the Ghost of Molly McGee, like within the proximity of the Haunted Mansion. That could work. Owl House is tricky too. Like honestly, I'd like to just see them put a Hootie animatronic somewhere just to mess with people and leave it at that. Not even explain it. Not even have it on an Owl House thing. Just like on a door, like in downtown. There's Hootie. Hello! Oh, well. One can dream. Stupid alerts. Go away. How was my Halloween? It was nice. It was good. I accompanied my kiddo in a very elaborate costume. Not me, her. Like I'm not gonna share it here because I don't share my kid's image. But like it was a lot. And she rocked it. She made it work. My Halloween was having my neighborhood having a blackout because a squirrel got into the transformer. I know because its corpse was in my driveway. Oh, jeez, Castile, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. We went to the Mummers Day parade in our town. One of my friends asked if I'd ever been to a pride parade, and when I said no, he offered to take me. Mummers, like, I don't know where you're located. I've seen like a Mummers parade in like, I don't think it was in Philadelphia proper, but it was close to it. They're the thing. I guess comparing it to a pride parade makes some degree of sense. As much sense as can be made. One of the main actors who's 18 came out as bi recently due to being harassed and accused of queer baiting, playing a bi character and being seen with a girl. So, yeah, okay. So it wasn't quite what I thought it was, but it wasn't too far off. And it is a difficult thing. Because this is kind of a fallout of the push for, queer people to play queer roles. But I think especially when you're dealing with characters as young as the characters in Heartstopper are, it becomes more likely you're going to end up in a situation like that. And the fact that the criticism was directed at the actor so strongly that happened rather than concerns being, projected at, say, the producers. That the actor was just hired to do the job. And unless they are a huge name actor who can pick and choose their roles, like, to pull a random name out of nowhere, Scarlett Johansson, unless you're of that caliber, the actor is not especially responsible for the nature of their casting. Especially young actors trying to break in, they're going to audition for anything and everything that they can get their foot in the door on. And they'll take whatever is said yes to, generally, broadly speaking. Jar Jar Ed. Hello there. Thank you very much. Dr. Sam Loomis, the Halloween character that got so crazy he shot Michael Myers 7 times with a 6-shot revolver. Hey, the man was determined. Donald Pleasance did not leave a job half done, except that apparently didn't kill him, so I guess he did. Oh, Dr. Loomis. What is your yearly October and Halloween watch list? It's basically 3 things. Like during the month, I might watch any number of things, but like very close to it, the must watch before the end of the month are Garfield's Halloween, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow portion of The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad from Disney, and the Real Ghostbusters episode When Halloween Was Forever. Those are the 3 must-be watched before the month is over items for me every year. Have to consume those. There are others that like I do intermittently, like say Over the Garden Wall, or just try and take in some scary movies or whatnot. But those are the big ones. Did I go as Rose Quartz? No, I just threw on some witchy attire and left it at that. I didn't have it in me to do anything elaborate. Have I seen Wendell and Wild? I have not. I would like to. I have not had time. Have you ever seen the Extreme Ghostbusters show? Only clips. I never watched it properly. I've never actually seen a full episode. John Vinyls, once again, thank you so very much. I guess you could have Caleb and Philip portraits as the duelists in the Haunted Mansion. Oh! That could work. Like, little nods like that would be kind of fun for those who catch it. The actor in question from Heartstopper also played younger Elton John in Rocketman. Ah. Oh, so I really wonder if this was something that was kind of trailing him off the back of that. I don't know. It's messy and it makes me uncomfortable. Excuse me. I went with friends dressed as Batman characters. Naturally, the Joker was banned. I went as Alfred. Britishness intensifies. That'll do it. You should have gone as the Macaroni, which will make no sense unless you watch the Harley Quinn cartoon. Supreme Omega. Good to have you here. Hello, even though Red Hood is popular, I feel Jason should have stayed dead. His revival removes Batman's second tragedy, and it undermines Tim's arc as Robin. Yeah, I agree. I know some people really like Jason Todd. I know some people really like him as a character, or really like the initial Red Hood storyline in particular. I don't like it. I think he should have stayed dead. And barring that, if he was going to come back, I think he should have stayed a villain. or at least lean way more villain than he does. Because at this point, they've kind of slotted him into anti-hero, and I think if he's not going to be dead, which he should be, then I think the much more interesting thing is to have him be the one who knows all of Batman's tactics, but is and will always be willing to do them more extreme than Batman does. And sometimes that makes him more effective. And that would make him a philosophical threat to Batman's core notions of what he's doing. If someone like Jason comes in and not only like as a one-off, but on a continual basis is doing it harsher than anybody in the Bat family does or will ever do, and is getting better results. That there's a story to be had there, and it's not one that they're telling. Now he's just the most damaged Robin. Yay. One of the trick-or-treaters said, "Trick or treat, bro," to me. It's how did Over the Garden Wall go over? We're about halfway through it, so she still wants to see the rest of it. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see, where was I? I binge watched American Horror Story Anthem and the pilot. Enjoyed them, but the pilot dragged a bit, I thought. I blame you. Hopefully I can resist my OCD and not binge the entire series. Yeah, hopefully not. Like, I've only seen 5 seasons of the thing, and like I've heard mixed things about it since then, so who knows. It's not Halloween for me unless I watch 1963 version of The Haunting. That's a solid pick. That worked, as long as it's not the 99 version. Angie P, thank you so very much for the support. I haven't managed to catch your stream in ages. Happy post-Halloween. Thank you, Angie. Happy post-Halloween to you, too. And all that jazz, labeling Dahmer an LGBTQ plus show during all this anti-LGBTQ plus crap at the moment. I have avoided Dahmer as a show and as a talking point, because like I've honestly never been super comfortable with just real life horror like that being milked for entertainment. Like there's a value in real life stories. There is. But I do think that real life serial killer stories lend themselves to some of the grossest exploitation that real life stories as entertainment tends to take. He also played Carolyn Ford's character's grandson in An Adventure in Space and Time. That's not relevant to the situation, but any excuse to bring up An Adventure in Space and Time. That is a good movie. Halloween is the only communal holiday. Holidays like Easter and Christmas can be communal, but Halloween is the only one that requires that. Interesting point, Alyssa. Yeah, because those ones can be self-contained and can be just familial, assuming one celebrates them. But yeah, no, Halloween, by its nature, involves other people. Yeah, very cool. Jacob, I did already review it in the break room. You need to go and check. That went up last week. I watched the new trailer for Disenchanted earlier today. I saw it was out. I haven't watched it yet. Today was a shooting day, so I've been mostly camped out over there in front of the camera. It's also why I'm so pretty, because I want it to look all nice and crap. Dharma, member for 12 months. Thank you so much for that. 12 months as a rabble rouser and no regrets. All hail the council and she who runs the meetings. Thank you, Dharma. I appreciate that. Whether you're trick-or-treating, taking a family member trick-or-treating, handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, or just going out partying, you are participating in the community. Yeah, like if you're not in some way involved in a community activity, then you're kind of not really doing Halloween. You're kind of ducking out on the whole thing. Like with some people, like that's not to slam the door on the possibility of like introverted people using it as an excuse to put a certain aesthetic around the house and just watch scary movies on their own. Like that's valid, but um certainly the core practices of the holiday, those are communal. Have I seen the movie Cannibal Holocaust, Human Centipede, or Martyrs? Uh, could you ever do it? I will not watch Cannibal Holocaust. I would not even accept that as a commission if somebody tried, because it depicts real life animal abuse, and I won't. Human Centipede, I have no interest, have never seen. Martyrs, I don't even know what that is. All of these sound like, if it's branching off in a similar vein as the other two, I probably would not want to watch it. Oh, hey, John. Good to see you. JVL in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Do you prefer the original Evil Dead for the gore and slapstick, or Evil Dead 2 for the more comedic horror bent? I have my favorite, but I'm curious. I think Evil Dead 2 is the platonic ideal of that franchise. Frequently funny, but also able, even in its funny moments, to just unnerve you out of nowhere. Whether it is Ash's reflection suddenly jumping out of the mirror and grabbing him, or whether it be, you know, the various things in the room starting to laugh, and you're like, it's unsettled, but it's also funny. That really hit the balance really well. The original Evil Dead is a bit too much straightforward horror for its own good, I think. Evil Dead 2 does some intentional comedy very, very well. And then from Army of Darkness onward, it's frankly a little bit too self-aware. That's part of why I didn't stick with Ash versus the Evil Dead, though I heard decent things. Jar Jar Ed, thank you once again for the super chat. Jason, I'm so damaged. Damien, cool story, bro. Dick, where's Tim? Jason and Damien, who? There's a TikTok creator. I want to get his handle right. He does just in general a lot of comic book stuff, but he does a fair amount of Batman stuff. It was the Panda Red with REDD at the very end. He does so much stuff, and he does a lot of skits where he's like playing the different Robins or playing Batman. He does a lot of stuff like that. It's really funny. If that stuff appeals to you, you should check him out. It's good stuff. So is the real Rasputin locked in a cupboard somewhere? Are we supposed to believe the master was Rasputin? And if so, was the Bonium song a bootstrap paradox? I don't know. And like, the simple thing is I don't care that much. I'm not enough of a plot hole sniffer to actually have much of a weighted concern about that. Let's see. I got compliments on my reindeer onesie and penguin slippers. Whatever works, I guess. So much to do, so many puppet shows to perform. The kiddo has been getting into ice skating. Best of luck with that. That can be a tricky one. What are some examples of creatives who you recognize are talented, but you do not love their work? Zack Snyder's first one that leaps to mind. He's very talented. I don't like most of his stuff. See, I almost said Stanley Kubrick, except that makes it seem like my issues with Kubrick begin and end with him not appealing to my tastes, when it runs a little bit deeper than that as to why I really don't like his work. My problems with him are kind of bigger than him as an individual. Let me think. Yeah, Snyder's the main one that leaps to mind off the top of my head. There are others. I'm just kind of drawing a blank at the moment. I mean, the Wachowskis are very hit and miss for me. They are incredibly talented. But they get it. For me, they nail it like 1 out of 5. Let's see. I've started taking CBD to mellow myself out. I hope that helps. I hope that works well for you. What else we got? A few months ago, I asked whether Doctor Who is more divisive than it used to be. I didn't just mean New Who versus the classics. Like, yes, but so's every fandom. That's not a Doctor Who problem. That is a fan culture problem. So, yes, but it's not reflective of problems with Doctor Who. It's reflective of cultural problems that are affecting Doctor Who. So, what things do you consume? What Halloween things you consume for the first time this month? Well, Barbarian was the big one, in terms of, a flat-out horror movie. And I would also call the Owl House special as being pretty Halloween-y. Those would be the two main ones. And I'll also reiterate that even though I am willing to cop that pretty much all fandoms are more divisive than they used to be, the divisive elements are not new, but they are louder and more widespread. Because being significantly older than most of my audience, I remember a time before the internet. I remember where if you were going to be a jerk about something, about a piece of fandom, you couldn't affect anything more than your immediate surroundings. Now, that could still be messed up. I've cited this before, but I remember in grade school where some of the older kids picked on like grade 1, grade 2 kids because they liked the Ewoks cartoon. And the older kids liked the Star Wars movies and they considered that to be for babies. So like that toxicity is not new. Its reach is new. And because of that reach and a general cultural shift towards people not accepting that some things just aren't made for them, and maybe that's okay, yeah, things have gotten more divisive. But I do feel it's important to remember the divisive elements are not new. They've always been there. Because then it becomes too easy to blame any one thing. To blame the rage merchants on a site like YouTube, to blame the far-right people who have deliberately made an effort to integrate themselves into various fandoms. That's not supposition, that's a fact, that's documented. It's very easy to blame them, and like these things don't help, but they didn't start a fire out of nothing. There were embers that they were able to flame, and those embers were always there. Let's see, where was I? Have I seen Bound? Oh, I love Bound. Bound's great. I gotta get that on DVD. That is a great movie. Being someone with a particular taste in horror, what horror media do you like the most? I'm very fond of horror aesthetic being used to tell a not specifically horror story. This is part of what I really like about Guillermo del Toro. His movies are drenched in horror aesthetic and visualization and tone, but the actual stories are often not horror stories, or at least they're not straightforward horror stories. Pretty much the only one he did that was Mimic, and even that I had fun with. FYI, my partner's Google Assistant just asked if we wanted to plan something for Bram Stoker's birthday, which is coming up. What kind of experience are we planning? Things like Google Assistant kind of freak me out a little bit. Supreme Omega, thank you very much for another super chat. Also on Bats, I wish adaptations had more Cass and Steph. Cass was Batgirl, Steph was Tim's main love interest, and also Batgirl, yet they still get sidelined. It was actually one of the minor annoyances I had with the Bird of Prey movie, which I actually really like. I didn't even dislike the character of Cassandra Cain. It's just that that character was not Cassandra Cain. Like, they could have called her literally anything else and it would have fit better. But yeah, like there's a general issue with a lot of the adaptations, especially of the DC stuff. Marvel, because it's been going for as long and as strong as it has been, is able to like pull from some deeper cuts over time, but because it's like they're constantly freaking resetting Batman every other movie, they keep revisiting the same things. It's like, oh, it's pre-Robin, or like they imply Robin's dead, and and we never get around to people like Steph or like Cass and any of the numerous other ones. I actually I had a bit of fun with Jessie Gender, on Twitter, because she had posted that she's playing Arkham Knights. Is that what it is? Batman Arkham Knights? Whatever the new Batman Arkham game is, the one that's supposed to be terrible. She's been playing that, and like she had tweeted out, who should I play as? And I had fun basically listing every non-white or non-heterosexual character that I knew wasn't playable in the game. It's like, oh, plays the Signal. Oh, wait. Plays Batwing. Oh, wait. Plays Cassandra Cain. Oh, wait. Plays Batwoman. Oh, wait. So I gotta have some fun with that. Do you know of the new CW show Gotham Knights about Bruce's adopted son, none of the Robins, by the way, teaming up with villains' children to prove their innocence for the murder of his dad? I feel like I heard it was in development. Is it actually happening for real? Are we sure about that? Let's see. Where was I? There we go. Shot in the Dark, have you seen DHMIS? I don't know what... I bring this up every now and then. Black Cover. I'm really bad at acronyms. If it's not like a really well-known one, I don't know what DHMIS is. So I have no idea. It's really bad to try and talk to me with acronyms. It doesn't work very well. I still maintain the norms have ruined the internet. The internet ruined itself. That is my position. What about Crimson Peak? That was him, right? That was him, but that is more of a tragic love story than it is a horror story. I loved Bound when I was a teenager. I now love it for additional reasons. Do I eat Halloween candy? Not really. I don't do handouts from my house, so I don't generally end up with any. John Vinyls, once again, thank you so very much. Am I the only one who thinks the Owl House took more than a little influence from Clive Barker? I'm not familiar with enough of his stuff to make a call, but I could see it. It doesn't sound like utter nonsense, so I'll give you that. Thomas Scott, thank you very much for the super chat. Have you seen Cabinet of Curiosities? Also, have you seen Capaldi's new show, The Devil's Hour? He pretty much said, similar to Eccleston, he won't return. I have not gotten to Cabinet of Curiosities. I haven't had the time. I tried watching the first episode of The Devil's Hour and got bored. Basically, I was there for Capaldi and they withheld him for too long and my brain wandered off. And yes, it is a shame that he's saying he won't return. I'm not necessarily going to say I hope he changes his mind. I would love more Capaldi stories. I'll hold out for more hope from possibly being Big Finish than actually appearing again on the show. Who knows, though? Who knows? Just wanted to shout out the comics camp counselor Jason and Irma. They're a comedic series that depict Jason as head of Crystal Lake and the girl from The Ring as a mom. That works. I can see that. Especially if you know, like, some of the Ring media, some of the media around The Ring is... Linkara has done a number of things about some of the lesser known aspects of that franchise, and they're bonkers. Thoughts on any of Stephen King's works? I just finished Pet Sematary, video in the near future, pluggity plug. Sorry, I've got some of my lip stain coming off on this mug. I've mentioned before that I've actually never finished a Stephen King book. I started reading, I think it was The Gunslinger. Like, his writing style just doesn't flow for me. And it's not bad. I don't think he's a bad writer. It just doesn't connect. I find his ideas interesting enough that I'm certainly not opposed to seeing movies based off some of his stuff if they look like they're good. Melody Queen, thank you very much for the super chat. If you had one question to ask Chibnall, what would it be? What do you think Chibnall would want it to be? I think Chibnall would want what I think most creatives want to be asked. What are you most proud of? What would I actually ask him? This is going to kind of tip my hand to what tomorrow's video is going to be to a certain extent, but I would ask him, was that really it? In regards to The Timeless Child, was that really all you had? Was there really nothing more that you intended to do with that idea? So, Nancy Gross, thank you so much for the super chat. Just dropped in to give you a belated Halloween treat. I love treats. Keep up the awesome work. Oh, what is it? I think I just finally found the pin backing. I think it's on the floor now. Means don't hug me, I'm scared. I am familiar with it. I've heard of it. I have never watched it. It never like struck me as my vibe. It was one of those things I found it interesting to watch people talk about, but I never really had much interest in engaging with it directly. Have I read any Edgar Allan Poe's books? Yeah, a couple. I actually rather like Murderer on the Rue Morgue. The answer to the mystery is kind of batshit, but it's a pretty good book. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is like a TV show proper now? Oh, geez. That's odd. That strikes me as very odd. Do you think you'll ever let Liz explain more Riverdale to you? It's so very not the Archies. I grew up on the Archies cartoon. So yes and no. We shot a bunch of stuff when she was reciting the River Vale plotline to me. So I had 2 videos up. I took one of them down because I accidentally, like, part of it looped back on itself and repeated. I fixed that. The fixed version goes up later this month, and I'm gonna have one more video that'll get out of the stuff that's already shot. No current plans to record any additional stuff along those lines, but there will be a total of 3 videos in that weird little sub-series of Liz breaking my brain by recounting the plot of Riverdale. Dad Joke Cinema. First of all, I love the name. Thank you so much for the super chat. My kids have been having a big debate about which Doctor intro is their favorite. My 6-year-old has an issue with ones that show the Doctor's face. She thinks they're creepy. What's your fave? For the most part, there are a couple of exceptions, but generally, I agree with your 6-year-old. I don't like the Doctor's face in the opening credits. It doesn't help that more often than not, they picked a unpleasant or unsettling image. Like, especially the ones they have for Tom Baker, especially that last one they have for Tom Baker where his head was like slightly tilted back. He's like, eh. That, like, they can't seem to get good shots all. One of my favorites, and it actually might have been my favorite at the time, was actually the last John Pertwee one, where it was the only one where instead of just the face, they did full body. Like it started on his face, but then it zoomed out and it's the full body. I thought that worked. I thought that worked a heck of a lot better than just the head. The disembodied head thing I've never really liked in the Doctor Who credits. Whenever they've done it. Do I think Jodie Whittaker will go on to make Big Finish audios? If so, what are your hopes? Well, I can guarantee you Big Finish will want her to. Whether or not she says yes is the question, because not all of them do. Eccleston has. They got, some from John Hurt before he passed. Tennant has. Matt Smith has not as yet. Capaldi says he doesn't intend to. Joe Martin has said yes. Big Finish will certainly ask. And unless she flat out tells them no, never, they will probably ask at intermittent intervals if they think there's any possibility and it doesn't come across as pestering her. So, as opposed to what my hopes would be, I mean, on the one hand, they could try and tie up the mess that is all the dangling plot lines, but honestly, I'd rather see them do their own thing. That having been said, Big Finish has a pretty decent track record of spinning gold out of plot holes and missing pieces. So honestly, I'd just do what they do because they're good at it. May I recommend that if you ever decide to pick Psy King up again, pick Stephen King up again. You pick 11/22/63. It's one of my favorite novels ever written. I don't have plans to pick him up again, but I would say I'll keep it in mind, but realistically, if and when I ever think to get around to trying Stephen King again, I won't remember because I have a sieve for a brain. So there we go. Let's see. Whew, lots of super chats in today. All right, I've been trying to keep up with the chat in general. I'm gonna have to just catch up on the super chats right now, and then just jump to the bottom of the chat after that, I think. So, Jar Jar Ed, thank you again. After seeing Halloween Ends, I can safely say I prefer watching original Halloween, Halloween 2, and H2O over the recent. The whole victims being defined by one horrible night is overdone and boring. I am inclined to agree. Now, I haven't actually seen any of the new trilogy. I actually haven't seen any of the Halloween movies in their entirety, start to finish at all. But I did see, I think it was Jeremy John's video he did recently on Halloween H2O and saying that is his preferred Halloween trilogy. Halloween, Halloween 2, and then H2O. Thomas Scott, once again, thank you so much. Devil's Hour exec is Stephen Moffat. Tennant also just did a show written by Moffat called Inside Man with Stanley Tucci. I'm so excited for New Who. Like, I'm glad that everybody's staying busy, and it's nice that these folks still work together, on other stuff. How do I go about writing a horror story? I've only written, I think, a couple of short stories that I would say are intended as horror stories. That having been said, there are parts of my book that seem to fairly reliably unnerve people. One part much more so than I was expecting to, but I'm like, cool, I dig it. But I think I approach horror the same way I take it in, which is that something that's aiming to just scare me, I'm like, I'm not really going to engage. Something that is aiming to tell me a good story that also along the way scares or unsettles or horrifies me, that is much more likely to get my attention. And so the times that I've written horror stories, I didn't sit down and go, I'm going to write a horror story. Now, I did in case of both those short stories, which are not available anywhere, so don't bother looking. I did sit down and think, I want to do a story about this sort of thing that is a typical horror story thing. Like I basically I have my spin on a werewolf story. I have my spin on a vampire story. And I would say the werewolf story is more overtly horrific than the vampire one is. But like those are both staples of horror, although you can do things other than horror with them. But those were worlds I wanted to play in, and I decided as I was writing if I would actually try and do horror stuff with them, or if I would try and do something else. And I said I was just going to skip down and focus on the super chats, and I already failed. Okay, Supreme Omega, Nightwing. I don't mind Bruce being a bachelor, but it would have been cool if Dick got married to his love interest Starfire. There's so much potential. They have a thing about honestly, superhero comics, DC especially, has this massive aversion, stunning aversion to heroes in stable relationships. Marvel has it a bit, but DC has it bad. And it's one of many reasons why I hate Identity Crisis. They had to not only destroy one of the few long-running stable relationships that universe has ever had, but they had to do it that grotesquely when ultimately the story would barely even be about that. I really hate Identity Crisis. I really do. I used to think it's good, but it's too rough for me. But as the years have gone by, no, I hate it. I really hate it. Melody Queen coming back in with a super chat. What am I most proud of? My novel, Dreams of Fire. Screw it. Hang on. This is what I'm most proud of. I spent so long thinking about and writing and working on this. And I'm really happy with the end result. I'm really proud of that book. Is it perfect? No. No piece of art is, but I can look at how long that took me. I can wish that I had gotten it done in a more timely manner than I did, but I can look at how long that took me and look at the end result and go, I'm proud of that. I didn't waste my time. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. Jar Jar Ed, thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, Laurie Strode was paranoid about Michael and H2O and was overprotective, but she was able to be well-adjusted and was a teacher at a prep school. I did a video focusing on this specifically in terms of villains, but we seem to lately, just in general, a lot of creators, especially when they're trying to be dark and mature and edgy, they really favor this idea that people are defined by trauma and defined by like a specific trauma. And part of that is an outcropping of, I think, a greater level of understanding of much of the population of how their trauma from various things that they might not have processed for a long time does impact them as adults. And that's a good thing. But like, to boil it down the way so many pieces of entertainment boil it down is not doing the concept justice, either the reality of it nor the narrative possibilities of it. Thomas Scott. I don't know why I became a voice, but okay. I think we'll see Jenny, the doctor's daughter, back in the 60th. Maybe. I think it'd be weirder, actually, now that she and Tennant are full-on married. It would be very weird, at least for me as a viewer, for her to show up and call him Dad. I don't know. I feel like I'm stepping in on somebody's private role play session or something. Sathomp 10. Probably butchered that. I don't know if it's meant to be said out loud. Hey, Vera, I feel that the Joker is too silly to be a villain. How is it possible that the clown can cause so much havoc and give Batman a hard time? I think he's a great villain. Now, whether or not you think he's too silly to be a villain depends on how narrowly you want to define villain. Because a villain is just an obstacle. He's undoubtedly an obstacle, whether he's being silly or being murderous. The way I like the Joker is unpredictable. Is that day to day, he could be doing a circus-themed heist of a corner store for pennies, and then the next day he could try and gas half the city to death because that's what he finds funny that day. Unfortunately, way too many things have drilled down on the killer clown thing, which is very tired at this point. I actually love what the Harley Quinn series has done with the Joker. I'm surprised how much I ended up liking that, Angie. I'm kind of with you on that. Brandon King, thank you very much. Seven's logo and opener are my least fave to dated. The opening is too dragged out. And yeah, that logo is so 80s. Holy crap, it's so 80s. And I know some people have nostalgia for it, but I've heard Sylvester's face was actually painted silver for that intro. I've always assumed that, Carolyn, just given the way it looks. All right, I think... Oh, I'm almost caught up. I'm almost caught up with the Super Chats. Then I need to check the Discord. So give me a minute here. John Vinyls, thank you once again. My crazy idea for Amphibia attraction is having it be a potential substitute replacement for Splash Mountain alongside Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Ooh. It would lend itself to that sort of down a waterfall splash kind of thing. Yeah, that works. Okay, I got to check the Discord. I will be back in a few minutes, folks. So from the Council of Geeks Discord, let's see. 3 questions and a joke. What do you think of the news that Henry Cavill is handing the black leather over to Liam Hemsworth for Geralt of Rivia? And does it have anything to do with him playing the Big Blue Boy Scout? I assume it does, because I reported years ago that Warner Brothers really wanted him back, and part of the reason they wanted him back was the first season of The Witcher had hit. So I would not be surprised if he basically was put in a position where they couldn't keep waiting for him and he had to choose. Since I don't watch The Witcher, not that I'm like, not watching that, just another thing I've never gotten around to. I don't really have an opinion on its impact on the show. I would assume it's probably a big hit. Recasting your lead, especially recasting and playing the same part. Like, there's sometimes you can pivot to have the lead be somebody else. That usually doesn't work, but it does sometimes. Babylon 5 pulled it off pretty well. But having someone literally play the same character after 3 seasons, I don't know about that. That's nothing against Liam Hemsworth. He could probably do it fine, but he's not who people want or remember. Question 2. James Gunn just had his people call your people and hire you to screenwrite a major DC property of your choice. Which Wonder Woman story do you write and why? See, here's the thing. As much as I love Wonder Woman, I actually love her primarily as a presence on the Justice League, as being a balancing and stabilizing force, more so than her own stories. Most of the individual Wonder Woman stories that I've read, I didn't like. Now, granted, that might be part of the ones I picked, but some of the ones I've read have even been praised, like, oh, this is one of the good ones. I'm like, really? And like, I still love the character. I love Diana. But, oh boy, some of the stuff that has her name on it has, at least most of the stuff I've looked at, has not been great. I'm trying to think if there'd be somebody else I would immediately gravitate towards. I mean, Harley Quinn's being done to death, and unfortunately Poison Ivy a little bit by extension. because of them being so much tied together now. I don't know. I bring back Ambush Bug just to throw everybody off. Should DC Studios try and rebuild their TV brand on free TV like the CW, or should they go streaming like Disney Plus does? Why or why not? Honestly, right now, I don't think they should really be trying to do either. They're probably better off in a holding pattern with most of the Arrowverse stuff already closed out or closing out soon. The CW doesn't have great penetration. Normally, I'd say focus it on the streaming, but HBO Max is going to get folded into Discovery Plus, and who knows what the hell that's going to look like or whether it's going to be worth the money. So right now, honestly, I think they need to put the TV stuff on hold until that stuff settles. Joke. How many fam-trad witches does it take to screw in a light bulb? None. If candles were good enough for grandma, they're good enough for me. If you yourself are not a witch or don't dwell in witching communities, you might not get that, or at least all the terminology involved. I liked it. Any advice you have for someone who is possibly moving to a northern state, North Midwest to be exact? Long underwear. You may not think of it immediately. You will regret not having it come February. And that's what we're going to go through. And that was it for questions that came in before the start of the stream. I know there was one more that came in. I might answer that directly on the Discord, but the rule is that questions need to be in before the stream starts. So I'm now back. There are more super chats. Hey! Jar Jar Ed. Almost caught up. Joker laugh intensifies. Oh, okay. If we're doing that. You're welcome. 255 AD, thank you very much for the super chat. It seems like Labour will take power in the next UK election. If given the hard choice, should we leftists want economically right centrist parties in power so long as they're okay on social issues? If your options are between vaguely progressive on social and economically right versus right on everything, yes, that is better. If you have a viable left option, I cannot stress enough that it really should be taken 98% of the time, because the far right continues to pull all of the right further in its direction, and pulling as hard as possible the other way, I do think, is the main thing that needs to happen in democracies. But I don't know. I don't know enough about the UK specifics. Jar Ed once more. Cavill says he would stay for all planned 7 seasons of The Witcher if they were true to the source material. Days ago, a former writer said half the team hate the books and the games, can't help but wince. Oh. Huh. How'd they end up on that gig then? Well, I mean, I guess if it's work for hire, you write what you get assigned. But yeah, that's a little... Huh? There's an actual proper Christmas Story sequel with some of the original cast coming to HBO Max soon. Why? Why? Well, I know why. Nostalgia and brand recognition. That's why. Do I wear curlers? No, I do not. This is just what my hair does. Good Hamill laugh. Well done. Yes. Thank you, Dad Joke Cinema. That was indeed very much a Hamill Joker laugh, specifically. Can I do the Chucky laugh? I don't know it well enough. Child's Play and the Chucky franchise is another one that I've only seen 1.5 of the movies. I've seen all of Bride of Chucky and most of Seed of Chucky, but that was a long time ago. His is more of a cackle, isn't it? Sort of the yeah kind of thing. That's not quite it though. I don't I don't know the franchise well enough. 255 AD, thank you once again for the super chat. How'd the Peridot costume turn out for the kiddo? Oh, wow. Okay, so I kind of alluded to just in general my kid's Halloween costume being a lot. But, so if you're familiar with Steven Universe, my kiddo's costume was Peridot. It was made by her mother. It was basically screen accurate. The leotard, the right shades of green, the sort of diamond, the yellow diamonds on the knees, custom made these kind of water shoes in the right colors, like body paint here up, her face, the right color green, made a visor. Her mother made the hair, the big yellow triangle hair. She made this helmet of a massive wig. It was really good. The kiddo rocked it. It's one of the few times that I am annoyed at my choice to not share my kiddo's image publicly. I'm still not going to, but like, it was real good. It was real good. Have I seen the Chucky TV show on Sci-Fi? I have not. I don't have Sci-Fi. Like your earrings, thank you. I think you've mentioned that before with these ones, Ms. Wicked Wolf. Do you have any worries about how they're going to handle Yasmin Finney on Doctor Who? Trans representation on the BBC is usually quite bad. The thing is, I don't think I've seen much in the way of trans representation in the drama department. I know BBC News is absolutely terrible with anything related to trans issues, but I have not seen a trans representation that's come out of the drama department of the BBC, so I don't know if it's as bad over there. And I also have a decent amount of faith in Russell T Davies. So, there we go. I think we're about to wrap it up. No disrespect, but Fiona Dourif's laugh is way better. I love that franchise so much. I like that she's become a big part of that. You know, that's become a family thing. Can you maybe just post the wig? That's the part I'm really curious about. I'll have to go through my camera roll to see if I can find a picture of just the wig, and maybe, no promises, but maybe. Because I can't remember if I took a picture of the wig by itself or not. But in any case, always wrap it up before drilling down. And that, my friends, is why that man is a professional. For those who don't know, John Van Luling, who's in the chat, we have historically hosted burlesque shows together. And that kind of line was very typical of the kind of rapport we would have. And also we had a podcast for a little bit called Go Home Hollywood, You're Drunk, which was a lot of fun. But then he had a kid. I already had a kid, but he had a kid, and we took what was supposed to be initially a hiatus, and then just the logistics didn't work out. And in the time since then, I've filled my schedule with other stuff, and it's a shame because that was a lot of fun. But love you, JVL. You know that. Jar Ed, thank you very much. One more super chat. A summary of how fans reacted to Cavill leaving The Witcher. Well, the only person that cares about The Witcher is gone now. Ooh. Yeah, if that's the perception that he is like the only major fan of the original property who was in any kind of creative input position, yeah, that's a bad sign. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. I just got a proper buzz cut today, intended to go into 2023 with full NB stud energy. Yeah! Do it, Rowan. Do it. Proud of you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Kicking off a new month. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you have a good rest of your week. I hope you have a good November. Well, with midterms, I hope we all have a good November, as least as good as one as can be had under the circumstances. But in any case, I want you to remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You're the council. I just run the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. Oh, thank you, Carowin. I got a hype stuff that's coming out. This is the thing. I downed the rest of my totally not spiked cider and forgot. Thank you, Carowin. Tomorrow on the main channel, there is kind of my final overview thoughts on Chibnall's era as a whole on Doctor Who. Saturday is my new revised ranking of the Doctors, my favorite portrayals, ranked from worst to best, now with new entries in there because I have resisted doing it during Whittaker's run. So that is on Saturday. Also tomorrow, streaming on Twitch, I'm still playing Inscription. I want to try and finish that one out. I think that's about it for right now. Thank you for the reminder, Carolyn. That was badly needed. Eternal Sailor Hufflepuff sneaking in at the last minute. How did you do Paradox Gemstone for your kid's costume? Oh, you mean the one on her head? Literally just stuck a bit of shininess in the right shape to her head with spirit gum. So that's how. So anyway, there we go. I think I got it now. I think I got it. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Karen. I don't know how I would manage this without you. I really don't. So anyways, thank you all so very much. Be well, be safe, and be kind. McCavity!